Fall is my favorite time of year. Just cozy up on the couch, have some hot chocolate, a little soup, get under a blanket. I love when the leaves are changing. It's a great time in Chicago. And Tommy John is here to help you feel more comfortable than ever. Their underwear has solved every problem you can find with underwear and loungewear. It's breathable, lightweight fabric that has 4 times the stretch of competing brands, and it has a non-rolling waistband and legs that never ride up. Tommy John loungewear is also guaranteed to fit perfectly with comfy, non-pilling micromodal fabric and a luxuriously soft tri-blend fabric with flexible 4-way stretch. I got the Tommy John Second Skin pajamas recently. I wear them all the time. They're one of my favorite things to throw on as I'm settling in for the night. We got back from dinner last night. I was excited to go throw them on and sit down on the couch. I absolutely love them. And this time of year when you're looking for something cozy, I can't recommend anything more. Go to TommyJohn.com/athletic right now for 25% off lounge and sleepwear. 25% off lounge and sleepwear at TommyJohn.com/athletic. TommyJohn.com/athletic. See site for details.
This is the Athletic Football Show.
Welcome to the Athletic Football Show. I'm Robert Mays. Joining me tonight, it's my good friend Nate Tice. Nate, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. We're almost 1/3 of the way through the season. 1 game to go, and then we're 1/3 of the way because I just can't do the season without knocking it out in quarters or chunks. So I'm just going to go with 1/3 because that's just really sounds really smooth, coming off. We got the thirds. I do have a thirdly season award article coming out this week, so maybe this is just my way to
good plug. Attaboy.
Right? My way to advertise it. So there we go.
There are great weeks and there are not so great weeks with the schedule makers over the course of an NFL season, and this was a great week. We had Bills Chiefs that we will absolutely dig into. We're going to talk about the Eagles Cowboys game that we just saw. Talk about a couple of the teams that are zigging where everyone else is zagging where everyone else is zigging, and we really have enjoyed watching that. We're going to talk about the Jets and what they did to the Packers and what that might mean for the greater NFC playoff picture. But I want to start with, I know on paper, the game of the year. The Bills go back to Arrowhead. Talked about it on Thursday's show, what that game was in the playoffs last year, what that show was that those two quarterbacks put on. And not the same crazy sort of finish, not all of the points that we might have expected. But I would argue that those guys put on the sort of show that I wanted to see from both of them.
It was almost like a dunk contest where it's like one guy made a throw and it's like, ooh, and then the other guy made a throw and you're like, oh, like that's how it felt. Like when we break down these games before we do the show, and I watched every snap of that game, but then rewatched it again, like the replay, and it was taking me forever to get through it because I wanted to clip so many plays. Like I
felt the exact same way.
It was taking me forever because I was like, oh my God, look at this. Oh, that's cool. But also not only just these two juggernauts and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes going at it, but it was some really cool kind of like schematic twists. And that's what happens. Those old Patriots Colts games used to be awesome between Belichick and Manning. And I just say Manning because that's what those Colts teams were. But just between Belichick and Manning, and like just because they were always they always finished first in the division. So they were playing each other every year. It didn't matter how the rotation of the schedule. But watching those like just little tweaks every game that they would do against each other, that's how this is starting to feel. And we're going to dive into it, I'm sure. But there was a couple, especially from the Bills on offense and defense, where it's like, oh, that's interesting. They're already throwing these changeups in. And we got a little bit of that hectic action at the end of last year's game. But this year we got it in the first half. So it was almost like perfect that the regular season, we just got in the first half. We got like 120 something yards of offense in like a minute. So we got kind of like just like a half little like defibrillator on our heart, not the full juice up action today.
There were a couple stretches, like 2 to 3 play stretches in this game that you watch these two guys and you just realize that they're on a different planet.
Yep.
And with Allen, it was near the end of the game for me. He hit a hole shot up the left sideline. Excuse me, this is the drive before, but he hit a hole shot up the left sideline of Dawson Knox at one point. That was insane. But at the end of the game, there's a 3-play stretch. I think it was 4 plays where he has the run. But it was the throw to Diggs, excuse me. It was like a little post corner stop to Diggs where he fires like a missile shot, like 30 yards into the air with Diggs sitting in zone coverage in between 3 guys. The next play is the play where he hurdles the guy along the right sideline, where it's a designed run. Then there's 1 yard for like 1 yard, and then he throws the touchdown, and Dawson knocks.
Which was insane.
It's just an insane throw. The ball placement on it is just absolutely ridiculous. So that's 3 plays. That's 3 plays over the course of a 4-play stretch where that happens. Yep. The drive where Mahomes finished it off with the touchdown to Hardman. If you watch Mahomes' pocket movement on the 2 plays preceding the touchdown to Harmon, he has a scramble for a first down, and then he somehow gets out of it and scrambles for like 2 yards to get them to the 3. And then the way he bounces in the pocket and moves up in the pocket to finish off that drive to Hardman. These are 3-play stretches, quarters, runs that no one else on the planet is capable of. Yep. And when you're watching these 2 teams, it's just apparent all the time that the places their offense can go are different than the places most of the other offenses in the league can go. And the stat I tweeted out during the game was these 2 teams are first and second in the NFL in conversion rate on 3rd and 8 or more this season. The Chiefs were at like 47%, which is totally unsustainable and absolutely ridiculous. But the Bills were second at like 39%. These guys also are bottom 5, bottom 7 in sack rate. They don't throw many interceptions. There are no negative plays. And when there are some negative plays, these are the 2 quarterbacks that can erase them in a single moment. You get to 1st and 20 if you're the Chiefs on that cheap PI, and it doesn't even matter. Nope. That happens all the time. And that's just my takeaway after I step back and really think about this game is that these 2 guys are on another planet right now. And that means these 2 teams are really a step above everybody else.
Absolutely. It's there when we watch like even the Eagles tonight, like their 3rd and longs can be exhausting because they are always a 4-down team because their short yardage run game is so good. These guys, it's 3rd and long. They're going for 10 yards, 20 yards past the sticks. It's not to get to a 4th and 2. Sometimes they are, but it's like, no, they're hunting for big plays always. And just that play both plays you brought up there. So the Mahomes went to Hardman. These guys break the rules so much. And that's why even against Mahomes going against this top tier Bills defense and whatever you feel about the Chiefs defense, they can give a lot of guys issues is they break those rules of the coverage. The touchdown to Hardman, it was a 4-strong concept. So 4 guys going to one side. Kelsey's lined up one-on-one. They ran like a little sluggo. So on those reads, those are taught on those 4-strong concepts like this is if I have a one-on-one, I'm taking it. Usually you're going to take Kelsey in a one-on-one. Like that makes sense to me. It's not some no-name guy out there. So Mahomes, okay, all right, broke the rule already. I'm not going to take my one-on-one. I'm going to go to the 4-man side. The Bills pass it off beautifully. They cover that's so hard to do in the low red zone. Boom, boom, boom. Every guy's covered. All right, Mahomes just going to buy some time. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then he makes the throw. So that's a rule breaker right there. The Diggs one they brought up that Josh Allen hits. If you notice both sides of the ball, both of these guys a lot, they'll run kind of these sail concepts, but the guys are getting targeted in between the numbers and the hash. So it's not like
they almost stop short of a hole shot and like in between. Because Kelsey also had one. That Kelsey one against Milano was almost the exact same kind of idea after the pass interference.
Mahomes and Kelsey have gotten some really good chemistry on those. They've started trickling in more and more. Those guys can get away with it because they're so freaking good. Like that is such a hard throw. You're throwing a location throw against zone coverage. Most times you're playing zone coverage. It's like what I always say, that middle, high, low. So you're hitting right in front of you, not 20 yards to the field in between 3 guys. That's breaking rules. Like it's these defenses have gotten so good with how their corners sink and kind of mixing together the quarters with the cover 2 kind of rules in a little bit of ways. And they're breaking those rules. They're just saying, oh yeah, your guy wants to sink. Screw you. I'm going to hit right in front of him. There's a 20-yard gain. Good luck next time. And they do it just over and over and over. There's another one. The one I tweeted was Josh Allen hits a deep dig to Stephon Diggs. 27 yards flat-footed, he throws it. The ball never sinks. It just lines the whole way. And he hits him on this deep dig. When you throw a backside deep dig, the aiming point for the quarterback's the hash. And really, it's more like just in front of the hash. He completes this when Diggs is at the numbers. The Chiefs have a safety driving on this dig. That is his rule. He is driving on this dig to blow that exact throw up. And Josh Allen flat-footed throws this ball before the safety can even get there. Those are rule-breaking throws. And it's just insane. They do these these throws 10 times a game. And on top of it, they can run for first downs. They're totally on a different level at what they can do. It's so much fun to watch.
I'm sure people are thinking about this, but it was a 24-20 game. Like, you guys were that enthralled by the quarterback play.
Yes.
There's a lateral fumble by Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah.
The Bills go for it on 4th down and don't get it. The Chiefs missed the field goal. Mahomes threw an interception in the end zone because these guys are going for broke in this game. They know what it's going to take to win this game, and there's no holding back in those moments. And that's how you end up with something like this while the teams are consistently moving the ball. So the Bills obviously win this game, which is huge for potential home field advantage stuff. Also, just after what happened last year, I think you need one of these every once in a while. To be like, all right, we can handle this team. Like, we can go in there and we can beat this team. So we're talking about those schematic tweaks, quirks, however you want to put it. What little things do you think the Bills solved today that you were impressed by in real time?
There's a couple, and I'm really excited. Really excited here. I got numbers and little schematic stuff. So one was the Bills used 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends, 7 times tonight. The entire weeks 1 through 5, they used it 5 times total. They used it 7 times tonight. And how they were using it was really cool. Just ace formation, dot formation, which is a balanced look with two tight ends each side, 2 receivers on each side. They had some runs out of it. They did a pin pull out of it. They also did a naked where what's his name? Tommy Sweeney is getting a catch. I had to look up his number. I was like, who the hell's Tommy Sweeney? I'm sorry. I have to look you up. But okay, so they're running that. But what you notice is that makes the Chiefs get into base personnel. They had 3 linebackers just in a stack, old school 4-3 look. It was actually kind of funny to see. And they're also, when you're breaking down, when defenses break down offenses, they group 12 and 21 as the same kind of. They're like, okay, you're in pro personnel. And they were in pro personnel, the Bills were tonight, on 1/3 of their snaps, which is a season high. To put it in perspective, 2 weeks ago against the Ravens, they were in pro personnel on 3% of their snaps. So they just used this, they used it on 24 snaps. They got 0.31 EPA out of those snaps. And that's just a cool little, hey, this is what we can get this defense to do. And the fact that they can rotate their offense, that was something that we were having issues with the Bills last year, was they were going too light. And now it's like, oh no, we can sprinkle on this balance looks. It's awesome. But also,
for context, 0.31 is about what Mahomes is leading the league with. So it's the most efficient passing offense in football with 0.31.
Yes. And they're doing it on every play, and that's including their runs too. There was 0.03.
The running game actually looked okay today. They were doing some interesting stuff. They had a really interesting run where they faked a pin pull and Morse reversed course back the other way. They ran a little pitch out.
They did some linebacks.
Gabe Davis got called for a hold, but it was beautiful. And so they're getting guys on the move. I did like a lot of the stuff they were doing in the run game, and obviously the run game has been struggling a lot this year.
I can also tell just that they watched the Bengals games against the Chiefs last year, because that Gabe Davis touchdown near the end of the half, which I'm going to be breaking down for Wind the Clock because of the protection on that. And the Bills in it did a 7-man protection, which is the running back and the tight end, and not full sliding it. And when you want to get in a 7-man protection, and actually the Bills caught the Chiefs offense out of this, the Bills don't run this that much. They'll run it. Sometimes they sprinkle it in, but the Bengals started running this in the second half of last year, and they caught the same Chiefs, same location of the field on a 3rd down pressure. And this one was in 2 minutes, so we called it 3rd down. Blocked it up, and he threw a go ball for a touchdown. It was deja vu all over again. Like they blocked this up perfectly. Tight end got Reed, running back. I want to say it was Singletary on the play. Got the other DB that was blitzing. They got their guys, so they were able to wad it up, and he hit the go ball for a touchdown. It's gash or be gash, and when you have a backup corner in there, it's like, oof, that's a perfect type of game or type of play.
They did it twice.
And they
did. There was a pressure on the Diggs touchdound too. I mean, both of those times he started 0 for 7 against the blitz, and I believe he was 6 of his next 7 for about 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Oh my God, they shred. And that's the thing. They said, okay, we're going to protect it up rather than throwing hot and get it out quick. They went with the other way. Let's block it up and hit you deep. And they hit him deep a few times. And we'll get into what the Bills defense did against the Chiefs offense. But that was a really impressive to me, was being able to change their point of attack and look of attack, the Bills offense, and getting the Chiefs in bad looks for them, less advantageous looks for them, and taking advantage of it. And they did it throughout the game. They adjusted throughout the game. And that's what the Bills coaching staff does all over and over and over.
Well, you mentioned they could have learned from what the Bengals did against the Chiefs last year. I assume they learned what the Bengals off defense did against the Chiefs in those games last year, because they were dropping 8 more in this game. They were doing some funky different coverages. It does seem like they were willing to play outside of themselves a little bit defensively as well.
A lot of man coverage, a lot of cover 2. They changed up everything they did. The Bills have been running more cover 2. Going into this week, it was about 20%, which compared to 2 years ago, or last year, I should say, it was 5%. So it's huge uptick. Ton of cover 2, but they also brought some man pressures. They also just ran straight up cover 1. Like when they were dropping 8, the Bills defense dropped 8. They've only dropped 8, I think, what was it, 2% this entire year? Yeah, 2% of their snaps this entire year have they dropped 8. Tonight, they dropped down 1 out of 5 snaps, 21% of the snaps against the Chiefs. And they ran cover 2 mostly behind it, but they also ran 1 robber out of it. They ran 2 man out of it, which is what got the Bengals were doing last year. And they're just double teaming Kelsey basically. So they were really mixing up. We say this sometimes going against these top tier quarterbacks. You have to throw the kitchen sink at them. It's suicide to blitz them a bunch and suicide to stay in the same coverage. So they said, screw it, we're going to run everything. And the other thing that I thought was interesting is they ran dime personnel a whole bunch of times. Those extra drop 8 looks, they were in a 3-2-6 personnel package, 3 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 6 DBs. And they did it on 2/3 of their third downs, or 7 out of 11 of their third downs today were in dime personnel, which is just something that's a new twist. They have only been in dime. They haven't been in dime this entire year. And they ran it multiple times tonight, which I thought was super interesting. And that last play, the last pick, was another example of the spy stuff working with Matt Milano, who's playing outstanding. Where it gives Von Miller a 2-way go. He can rush however he wants. I can go inside because I know if Mahomes bails out, Milano's going to come around as my edge contain. You're basically just standing up the edge contain guy so he can go to either side. And now the DNs have 2-way goes. And so now if they want to provide chip help like the Chiefs were doing, now Von Miller can go inside and not have to worry about it because here comes the outside help. Really, it's just an awesome defensive game plan and offensive game plan from the Bills, and they executed so well against a really good Chiefs team.
And what was different between who the Bills are now and who they were in that game last year in the divisional round? Von Miller is a huge part of that. Yeah. And I mean, he finishes off 2 insanely important plays. That 3rd and 6 sack where the dip on that to get to the rip move against Wiley. Mahomes is a little bit deep and he's drifting a little bit. So that's not all on Wiley, but there's one particular defensive line drill where you watch where you're actually grabbing a towel off the ground as you run the hoop. And it's literally practicing getting as low as you can to the ground. You're touching the ground because you're trying to dip that shoulder so low. And that Von Miller is dipping his hand all the way to the ground there when he's going against Wiley. There's nothing you can do about that. No. Like the way his body bends is just impossible to deal with. And then the sack he had on the spin move, that sets up that final drive that they had before the half. If that sack doesn't happen, they might even get the ball back. One of my favorite things about these quarterbacks is that there are so many plays that happen over the course of the game that you'll never remember.
Yeah.
They're not the game deciding play. They're not the highlight reel play, but they're the plays that quietly make these guys the best players in the world. And there was a 3rd and 13 on that last Bills drive before the half when it finished off with the touchdown to Gabe Davis, where there was 3rd and 13 in the shadow of their own goalpost. They're on like their own 2. And Allen drifts to his right just a little bit, but then stops on a dime before stepping up and just fires one to Davis on 3rd and 13. And just like those plays, they happen all the time. There are like 5 or 6 of them a game that these guys and maybe 1 or 2 other people in the world can make. And they give their teams a chance constantly by doing this stuff. And you're never going to think about those plays again, but they happen constantly. And this game was full of those plays.
Oh my God. From your own 1-yard line and you're extending the play and ripping those. It's when the defense has, or the other team has an advantage on you and you're not only getting back to neutral, you're creating positive plays. It's the biggest swings. We talk about swings from a penalty or swings from a turnover, like a pick 6, but just think of the yardage swings that these guys do constantly. Okay. Rather than punting now, backed up and wow, they're going to get great field position probably at midfield. Now we're getting a first down on top of it. We're not even just getting out of our own end zone. Like they just do it over and over. So the drop 8, and I just want to bring it up because I want to compliment Mahomes because this throw was ridiculous. It's one of the coolest. There was like 3 throws tonight, maybe 4 that should be highlights. And we will never talk about them outside of like Knox's touchdown. And it was the sail route to Sky Moore that I already talked about, but they're dropping 8. They're running 1 robber. and one robber. So the corner has outside leverage on Moore because this helps come from the inside. So he runs this deep sail route. Mahomes, it's to his right. He's backing to his left. So he's going all the way to opposite side and in rhythm whips this sail route that's about 18 yards down the field all the way to the opposite sideline, essentially, puts it on a line. Perfect ball placed in the sky. Moore, he catches it and gets yards after the catch.
It's like feathery touch. Like the touch on that ball, and just like how he feathers it right
it's
over.
Fake.
Like it's insane.
It's fake. It's that shouldn't be possible. As soon as he gets knocked back, his eyes should go to a check down. Like that's how you're usually taught. It's like, oh, I'm knocked off the platform, checking it down. No, he's still attacking and hitting a deep sail route against Robber, where that guy has outside leverage. Like, good job by Sky Moore winning. The guy still had great coverage on him, and he just makes a great throw. Like you can't defend it. You can't defend that stuff. It's insane what these guys can do. It's amazing. It's awesome. Like it's like we should just appreciate this every week. All these highlights that we get to see. It's the coolest stuff.
Putting a button on this. I mean, I think my takeaway is that these guys are going to be there at the end. Like we're cruising toward. We're on a collision course for these two teams playing against each other when we get there to in the AFC Championship game. And hopefully by that point, no disrespect to him, but like Joshua Williams isn't playing. And we have these teams closer to full strength. Like the Chiefs lost this game, but it's the bounce of the ball two different ways. Yep. And I feel like with the way these are both set up right now, both of them, that's how it's going to feel every time they play against each other.
Yep. If they're going to be giving their best. Like we don't have to worry about these two teams going like, is this going to be a bad game from them? No, it's the elite teams throwing haymakers at each other. And it's awesome.
The last thing I want to say, every time I watch them play with each other, and every time I really sit down and watch the Bills offense, I thank God that Stephon Diggs got traded to the Bills. Not because just because they are such a perfect marriage.
Yeah.
Like them kind of pushing forward the best versions of their football selves together. Like there's a sliding doors moment where Stephon Diggs is just never a Bill. We never see what this is with them together. And I just love it. Like what they can do together is absolutely insane. They have this mind meld thing now where they're just making plays out of structure, or it's advantage throws in run looks where they know exactly what they're doing, the timing that they both have. I don't appreciate it enough. I am grateful that pairing now exists because of 3 or 4 different things falling into place.
The mind meld is such an important thing because how much they ad lib and the fact that they never look wonky. There's never one. It's like, oh, he missed him again. Watch the Packers sometimes, and him like Aaron Rodgers now trying to throw all these kind of trick shots to guys. They're going all over the place because he has no rhythm with these guys, no chemistry. No, these two are they're insane because how much they ad lib. Diggs is able to slow down or speed up, and Josh Allen just makes these perfect throws. It's and really Mahomes and Kelsey kind of have that going on too. So it's
absolutely they do.
I totally agree that like I'm glad Diggs is there because as fun as some of these other players are for the Bills, it's always nice when you have that true number one alpha, even if he's not built like how we picture an alpha guy.
But neither of them are, right? Like Stephon Diggs isn't built like that. Travis Kelce is a tight end, but that throw you were talking about where it's that kind of half hole shot that's actually a little bit further inside. The spacing and timing on that has to be perfect for it to work.
Perfect.
And these two pairings of guys, Mahomes to Kelsey and Allen to Diggs, hit that throw multiple times in this game. It's the type of thing that only happens when you're completely in sync with one another. Dude, and that's what these guys are.
So much danger on those throws.
Yes.
So much danger. Guy leaks from the inside. Guy leaks from the outside. Like a corner drops in. The hook defender comes in. The cover 2 safety can squeeze down on it. Like there's just so much danger. And they do it constantly every game. Like I've been... when I was with the Raiders, we were trying to go for one of these throws against the Dolphins at the time, 2017. And we're like, okay, we got to complete one of these. Like we were trying to get one of these types of throws just to move down on 3rd and extra long because of the coverage they played. And they do it constantly. They do it like once a drive. And those are such hard throws and they make it look so easy. And that's why we don't make a big deal of it usually.
All right, let's get to our next kind of game of the week here. The Eagles handle the Cowboys. The Eagles now 6-0, commanding lead here. Well, not commanding lead. They're only one game on the Giants in the NFC East. But the Eagles are in the number 1 seed in the NFC right now, the only undefeated team left in the league. What did you leave this game thinking about the Eagles?
That offense is just always going to have answers, even if it's doesn't always look pretty. It's this team, like it's just so hard to play them because if one guy botches, they run. Their offense is very unique and very unique, redundant. Way to go, Nate. But they run this offense that has, just the RPO answers. So like, how many times you see AJ Brown just wide open in a flat route? Like,
I love him doing the slide on the RPO slide instead of the
awesome.
tight end. They have so many different wrinkles that they're throwing into this right now.
I want to compliment what they know what to lean into week in, week out on offense. Like every week they figure it out. The Cardinals game got a little wonky in the second half, but most of the time they know what to lean into that week. It's an offense that's built out of easy buttons, but I don't mean that in a bad sense. I mean, they know what their money plays are of that week, and they just go boom, 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 boom. They just pound away at it until you stop it. And why not? They have good players. The run game is extremely sound. Their passing game, it's not, yes, they run a ton of RPOs, but nothing is gimmicky. There's not, like, you watch the Ravens offense and you're like, what the hell are you trying to do there? You watch this Eagles offense, even for me, never being in a heavy RPO offense, I go, okay, I know who you're putting in the bind there. I know who you're reading there, because it's all very sound. So sound offense, really good players, and they have answers. Like, if you want to play too high, we do this. If you want to run one high, you do this. You don't have a lot of speed, we'll do this. You have a lot of power, or you do have a lot of speed, but not a lot of power, we'll do this. They're able to just change how they attack you. It's really, really hard to stop on that offense.
I was thinking about this the other day when I was thinking about the Bears offense and how I'm not overly disappointed with what the structure of it is. Like, I do think that there's a little bit of square peg round holing it going on, just because they've dropped Justin Fields into like what is a version of the Packers offense to a certain extent.
Right.
The Eagles have completely reshaped, and this is old hat. We've talked about this a million times before. They've completely reshaped what they've done around the skill set of Jalen Hurts and the skill set of their players. And it's almost just, I'm more incredibly impressed with their flexibility over the last 18 months than I am disappointed in a coaching staff that can't do this. Right. And that's how I feel every time I watch the Eagles. And my prevailing thought after watching that game is that I'm a tiny bit worried about what the ceiling of the passing game is as we get over like an 18 to 20 game stretch. Hurts averaged 3.1 air yards per completion in this game. 3.1. He got blitzed on 48% of his dropbacks. And I do think teams are going to continue to do this. And we'll see what happens with Lane Johnson and the timeline with that. But even if you have that concern in the back of your mind, it's an unbelievably impressive how this team can win in so many different ways on offense and defense. Yeah. The offense can tap into whatever it needs given the situation when all those guys are healthy. Lane Johnson is one of the most important players on the Eagles offense, if not like a top three. I mean, we can stack them up if you want to. He's right there. He's in the conversation. So if they lose him for any length of time, that flexibility starts to deteriorate a little bit. But they have that flexibility in offense, and then their defense can win games for them. Like, the Cowboys were able to sustain with Cooper Rush because they weren't turning the ball over. They were able to do just enough. And they got dismantled over the first 2.5 quarters of this game by what the Eagles defense is on the back end. The talent that they have at every single level, that's why they can win these games in so many different ways.
And they feel like just such a complete team in the sense that because of their defense, they stay in good game scripts. The only one was the Jags game, which got switched on its head quickly, before halftime. So they didn't stay in that kind of negative game script that long. And that's the thing, is that they know their offense is going to put together these drives and move the ball and just consistently do it. So defense plays really aggressive, and you can see they have a lot of hands on balls. There's a reason those tip balls become interceptions. That's because the guys are near the ball, and they have guys at each level making plays. The linebackers are still a question mark a little bit. I know they said they Collinsworth and everything gave some shout outs and stuff, but whatever. Let's call spade. Their DB room is great. So all these teams that against them have to pass the ball because their offense is putting up points, and their DB rooms get to tee off on guys, and they're played really sound. They don't really beat themselves. And that's kind of what this team is. They don't really beat themselves. They are kind of keep coming at you, offense and defense. I agree with you as far as the offense, though, just real quick, is that then that's why I want to compliment the defense, and why it's a kind of a complete game by them, is that they don't get into these negative situations where we have to see Hurts dropping back. Even every third and extra long is not their ideal place. It's not an ideal place for any offense, but especially for the Eagles. They don't want to sit back and drop back. That is just not how they're meant to win games. But credit to the defense for always keeping them in games when the offense is struggling, and the offense for always staying on schedule. It's just They just keep coming at you. It's a good team. It's a really good team. It's like the one blemish is, oh, they can't drop back. And then you look at their schedule and you're like, okay, well, who's going to make them drop back? Yeah. Bye week Steelers, Texans, Commanders, Colts, Packers. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we got the Packers aren't some hotshot team at this point in time. So yeah, I'm still waiting to see some team make them drop back 20-something times a game, and we still haven't seen it.
Watching the defense tonight and just thinking about how all those guys ended up on the defense. The idea that James Bradberry was available to anyone.
Still insane.
Anyone could have signed James Bradberry for a very reasonable amount of money. It was $7 million. Like anybody. And you think about how many teams around the league need corner help. Hassan Reddick is on a 3-year, $45 million deal. The way that the deal was structured, he's a cap of $3.9 million this year and $6.7 million next year for what he has done for them this year. I mean, even when the way that they got Darius Slay, I've said this before, but I truly think that this team does as good of a job as anybody at turning over every single rock to look for contributors. The Mailata thing is part of that. Being able to get him in the 7th round and him coming out today before the game and saying, I went to Jeff Stoutland University is exactly right. Like they've just been able to, the way that they've been able to develop players at hugely important positions because of somebody like Jeff Stoutland, their offensive line coach, the way that they've really tried to look under every single rock and turn every single page to find players on defense to finish this thing off. Like they have weaponized the financial flexibility they have because of their quarterback. And that has allowed them to create the most complete roster in the NFC. And I think arguably the most complete roster in the league. Like the Bills are very, very good top to bottom. The Bills offensive line is not full of dudes.
No.
Like they subsist because their quarterback is able to allow their faults to matter less.
Yeah.
But if you look at it top to bottom, position and position, the Eagles are the best built roster in football. And I think it's nights like tonight that really allow that to shine. It's like they can beat you in 10 different ways because they have a guy that can change the game at 10 different positions.
I know I'm not, and this is not knocking Hurts here. I'm just saying it's the most quarterback proof roster. It just is, like, just with that O line, those receivers up there, and the defense and keep them in games. It's that O line is. I know Lane Johnson's out. No, the Mailata thing is great too, and just the double benefit of him taking him late in the draft was he was an international pathway player, so he didn't count as a roster spot when he first came in. So
stuff like that.
That's a bonus. Like, and now they got a bona fide top 5 left tackle in the league. Like, and it was a project in day 3. Like, that's just, it's the red paperclip constantly with this team.
All right. We are going to take a quick break and then we're going to get back for You Have My Attention. Whether you're looking to pop the question, have a milestone to celebrate, or want to let your love sparkle, Blue Nile can help you make your celebrations even more memorable. As the original online jeweler, Blue Nile offers the largest selection of independently graded diamonds and pieces priced significantly below traditional retailers. They've helped millions of couples create their perfect engagement ring, and their easy online tools let you choose the diamond, size, and clarity as well as a setting. Looking for a piece of fine jewelry to commemorate a special milestone but still have trouble choosing? Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. Make your moment sparkle with Blue Nile. Go to BlueNile.com and use code MAZE to save $50 off your purchase of $500 or more. That's BLUENILE.com, code MAYS, to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. BlueNile.com/maze. Reserve Bar is your online source for premium and luxury spirits, wine, and champagne. And now, Reserve Bar offers same-day delivery. Reserve Bar has a vast lineup of rare and hard-to-find bottles, premium brands, celebrity spirits, and limited releases that you just won't find at your local store. Even better, turn that spirits gift into a cherished memento with custom engraving, perfect for birthdays, weddings, anniversary, Father's Days, you name it. Need something for a party tonight? Reserve Bar now offers same-day delivery straight to your door. Did you forget that birthday gift? Reserve Bar to the rescue with same-day delivery. Visit reservebar.com today and use promo code MAZE to save $10 off your purchase of $75 or more on spirits, wine, or pre-made cocktails, but only when you use our special offer at reservebar.com with code MAZE. That's reservebar.com, code MAYS. This offer expires December 31st, 2022.
Gentlemen, you have my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
All right. I want to start in a kind of a weird place here. We were talking about two teams that we wanted to dig into, and I want to start with the Giants, but framing it this way. they have my attention because they've embraced the zag. You watch this Giants team, and you wonder, like, how the hell is this happening? How are they continuing to do this? And they caught some breaks late in that game, right? And the ball going through Lamar's hands and those turnovers and being able to kind of cash in on that. That's not always going to happen. But you watch what they do on offense, and they're just trying shit that no one else would be willing to try. It kind of brings me back to that conversation I was having about the Eagles. And I think that along with the Eagles, the two offenses that I think have gotten the most impressive coaching this season, you can make an argument that it's the Giants and the Falcons. They're not the best offenses in the league, but what they are getting out of their personnel, they're pulling everything they can out of the players that they have. And that's how I felt watching the Giants again today. It's not like they're moving the ball up and down the field, but they've got like 4 or 5 plays a game where it's like, this shouldn't work. This shouldn't even be an idea that you try, but somehow you're trotting it out and you're getting chunk plays out of it.
I thought it was so funny. We both ended up tweeting out the exact same play from the Giants. That was really funny. But
I mean, you watch Aaron Rodgers today. That play made me feel like I was doing ayahuasca. Was watching that play and just seeing it in an NFL game. Just explain it to people.
Yeah, the play we're talking about is the Giants had a 23 personnel, which is 32 personnel, which is 3 running backs and 2 tight ends, but it was 3 tailbacks. It was not a fullback out there. So this is a team that struggles to have receivers. They got Wendell Robinson back, but they're finding out these ways, but they went a full house backfield. Ran a front side naked. Naked is usually you fake one way and have the quarterback boot all the way around the other way. I'm seeing a lot more front side nakeds actually this year. So they fake the dive, and then the quarterback is booting to the same side he's faking on. They have a wheel route to Matt Breida, right?
Yes.
So a wheel route to Breida with Barkley coming into the flat underneath them, just a traditional naked concept. Actually, not really, with a wheel route. And Daniel Jones hits a wheel route to him out of this 32 pony personnel, double pony personnel that the Giants got into. There's another one, the Bellinger TD down in the red zone. They were in 14 personnel with four tight ends and 1 running back in the game, and they ran a bootleg in that. And again, just like our conversation about like the Bills and putting themselves in good position and using different schematic twists, putting 12 personnel on the field, they were forcing the Ravens. The Ravens have struggled with depth this year. There are tons of injuries on defense once again with D-line and linebacker depth. They were forcing them to say, hey, put those backups on the field. Put as many backups as you have on the field because we're going to get these guys and we have a better play than you have on defense. And it works. It's knowing your personnel. That is what coaching comes down to, especially in the NFL, is knowing your personnel and putting them in positions, and the Giants do it constantly.
The one that they hit on the wheel to Breida, they're using Saquon as a decoy on that play. He's in the flat. They're trying to pull up the defender right there with Saquon going to the flat. They had another one. There was a crosser to Wandale Robinson where they had Saquon pulling up that flat defender again. They know Saquon Barkley is the most visible, important player on their offense, so they use him to influence the passing game. Even though he's a running back.
Splash the water. They're just splashing
that's
the water.
That's all it is.
All
because
it is.
It's like, all right, we know that your focus is on him. He is the most central running back to an NFL offense that exists right now because they have no other personnel. And they're using him that way. Even the Bellinger touchdown, the way that both of those tight ends are coming back from the right side. And I can't remember who the other one was besides Bellinger because I don't know any of their names. And I apologize about that.
4
right? Yes. So the other tight end takes it vertical at the last second and pulls out the defender right there where Bellinger can just sit down. It's a beautiful play design. Like, it makes sense. And you watch this happen with all of these tight ends and all of these running backs and no receivers. And it's like, this is wild. It is wild that they get anything out of this skill position group and anything out of this offensive roster, but they're doing it because they're willing to try things and do weird stuff that no one is willing to try. And the Falcons are the same way. The Falcons won another game today where their quarterback completed 13 passes. They're all of the different personnel groups that they're using, all of the different ways that they're doing this. I know they got a couple picks today and the turnovers are certainly helpful, but they're moving the ball on a Niners defense. Even if they're banged up, it's still impressive when you consider the skill position talent and the offensive line talent that the Falcons have. Both of these teams are torn down teams. They are bottom 3 teams in cash spending and the ways that they're building up this roster. These are supposed to be full-scale rebuild jobs where they're the worst teams in the NFL. And both of these teams are competitive week in and week out because of the wonky ass shit that they're doing, because they're willing to try it, because why the hell not?
Why the hell not? Like, oh, I love the Falcons offense so much. I love that we get to keep talking about it because just there, like you brought up the personnel usage. The Falcons were in 11, 21, 12, 22, and 13. Those are like the big 5 personnel groupings. So 11 is 3 wides, 21's a fullback, 2 wides, 12 is 2 tight ends, 2 wides, 22, 2 fullbacks, 2 tight ends, 13 is 3 tight ends. They ran every single one of those personnel groupings today, 10% or more of their snaps. So about 5 or 6 snaps or more of each. And they do it on every single down. Could be any down that they are in these personnel groupings. Different types. They'll be in 12 with 4 different types of tight, or 3 different types of tight ends rotating out throughout it. And just a couple plays they do out of it. Like today, they were in, I think, nothing but shotgun. Like, so they've been doing all this play action stuff out of under center, pistol, and shotgun. Today, every single play action was out of shotgun. They were running spread looks more this week. And I'm going to guess they wanted guys more out on islands. But it's knowing their changeups has been so cool. A couple of weeks ago when they played the Browns, every offense is getting highlights against the Browns defense. But this one with the Falcons was really cool, was the center wideback play. And we discussed it. But this was that's just knowing the changeups that your offense is going to have. And the Falcons love running a toss outside zone play. You'll see a lot of Shanahan offenses do it. Arthur Smith runs just a little bit of everything. So again, they were making it look like this toss outside zone play. And what they did on it was they went 22 personnel, Kyle Pitts in the game. They made it look though like a 12 personnel look where Kyle Pitts is a receiver. He's split out in a close split. They make everything look like, if you watch a Ravens offense, you watch the 49ers offense, you watch Juszczyk or Patrick Ricard lead blocking on these toss outside zone plays. They make every pre-snap action look like that. But then they run pin pull the other way with Kyle Pitts blocking down on the D end. They know all their changeups, and it's just like, I mean, I watched enough baseball that I can actually talk this language now. They threw a changeup at 94 miles an hour. Like it's a changeup after they throw 103 at you, and also the changeup, the breaking ball's in the mid 90s. It's like, oh, how do I hit that? And that's what this team does in the run game. And they get all these explosive plays. They have backup running backs in, and these guys are getting explosive plays. They have Caleb McGarry playing like one of the most improved players in the NFL, like making key blocks. They're pulling with him. This guy looked like he couldn't even start playing the NFL a year or two ago. Right? And now they're just making him like a weapon. It's really cool what this offense does. They're running like fade RPOs to Drake London. I love this offense so much because of the weekly tweaks that they do and the changeups that they show every week.
I don't know if the Giants can sustain this for an entire season. I don't know if they're going to get the sort of breaks that happened again that the Ravens had late in this game. Another Ravens collapse. Are you concerned that this is symptomatic of a broader problem with the Ravens, or it's just shitty luck?
Yes. No. it's I mean, it's a lot of like, their DBs are really frustrating to me. It's like especially with their tackling. Because I think I don't know what, they just get tired or whatever. Someone has the best tweet ever because I tweeted about it, of course. And someone replied to me and says, it's just arms and sass. That's the Ravens DBs, like tackling. It's just arms and sass. And I love that so much because how many times you see Marcus Peters barely always half missing a tackle and then getting up talking. So it's I'm a little like, it is annoying. I'll tell you that, especially as someone that's been consistently betting the Ravens. And I think just with this team, I really just think their offense runs out of stuff to throw at teams. Like they have some good plays and they kind of come out of it seems like, and they just keep shooting themselves in the foot, whether it be the fourth downs and missed short yardage opportunities against the Dolphins. Just this game with botched snaps and other plays, they just seem to keep doing that. It's a team that has faced a lot of injuries, so you have some wonkiness, especially on defense. But yeah, I'm a little worried, but I also think they'll break out of it because you can't just keep having this bad luck like this.
That's kind of where I sit with it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really feel like this is something that can't be fixed. And we know that records in close games often comes back.
Yep.
So it does seem like they've got some bad breaks, but the Giants continue to get good breaks. So congratulations to them. Embrace the zag.
Yes.
They both have, and they've both been rewarded for it. All right.
Yep.
Next one here. I was going to frame this as the Patriots defense, just because the Patriots defense was 9th in defensive DVOA coming into this game. They had a really nice day against the Browns. I assume that's only going to go up. Browns offense has been pretty good this year.
Yeah.
I'm doing the Patriots in general because going back and rewatching that game, Bailey Zappi is fun, man. The Patriots defense plus Bailey Zappi the last couple weeks has been really enjoyable.
Oh, Bailey Zappi. I compared Bailey Zappi to Chase Daniel in the pre-draft process.
Just one man after my own heart.
And it feels great. It feels great watching him. His college film was so much fun because you knew I shouldn't say but watching him right now. So you're like, okay, he has a ton of arm limitations, but this dude knows what he is and he's smart. And those quarterbacks are so fun. They spread it out at Western Kentucky. This coaching staff brought him with them. And him and what's his name? Jarrett? Yeah, Jarrett Stearns. Caden Stearns is a little brother. He played at Western Kentucky. He's this little 5'7" receiver, and he caught like 150 balls for him. But Zappi was they just put him in the shotgun and you just watch this guy dice up. It was like those old Hawaii offenses with like Timmy Chang running the run and shoot. That's what this looked like. And man, that when you watch it today, when he has no pressure on him, just watching him just knife defenses up because he knows where to go with the ball. Like he always is going to have the right answer. It's just getting him there. And they let him get there. They point, let him shoot. And it's a lot of fun.
Bailey Zappi, okay, was blitzed on 50% of his dropbacks today. On those plays where Bailey Zappi was blitzed in this game, he was 13 of 18 for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Not bad.
Bailey Zappi this week was 6th in EPA per dropback against the blitz.
Sure.
And no one else that was even close to that was blitzed as often. Matt Ryan was blitzed on 31% of his snaps. But the other guys that were that high, 4% for Kyler Murray, 9% for Andy Dalton, 7% for Trevor Lawrence. That's a sample size thing. Bailey Zappi was maybe the best quarterback in the NFL against the blitz today. And he was really good last week when teams brought extra pressure. He knows exactly where he's supposed to throw the ball. He can't throw it more than 35 yards, but he knows exactly where he's supposed to go with the ball. It's remarkable to watch him play because he has decent pocket awareness.
Yep.
The ball placement is good, but every single one of them looks like it was shot out of a t-shirt cannon that doesn't really work, where it goes out and then it's just it tails off at the end, every single throw. But I'm truly enjoying watching him play.
He plays how Big Ben thought he would play in his late career. Like this is what Big Ben's image of himself at his end of his career was playing with his arm. But he thought he was just going to be a point guard back there. Bailey Zappi is actually that point guard. Like you can't blitz him because he gets the ball out so quick. And they're running like he hit 100 Henry a couple times, maybe just once. But like he targeted him just on little hot routes. Just like you blitz off the slot, boop, he gets the ball out so quick that before you can recover and have a guy come down, you're getting 8 yards, 12 yards on it. He's a ton of fun, and he's throwing up to Parker, and Parker's dunking on guys. It's a weirdly fun offense to watch because their run game's been pretty fun. So now you got this kind of like passing game that's interesting.
When I was going back and rewatching the game, I was assuming that I would go back and rewatch the defense and what they did against the Browns and the fact that they slowed them down. And then I started watch the whole thing, and I'm just laughing while watching Bailey Zappi. I'm just cracking up. I was like, this dude played really well today. Like, this is not bullshit.
No.
Like, he actually played really well in this game. But I do want to talk about the Patriots defense because they are a top 10 defense by pretty much every metric. I was worried about the Patriots defense coming into this year. They had no corners. And the fact that Jack Jones is now playing like this, and Marcus Jones had some nice moments today. I would like to go back and watch all 22 to see what they were actually doing coverage-wise, but it seemed like they were playing a lot of man. They were really daring the Browns receivers to beat them, and it was not working very well. And then the ways, the physicality. Yeah, Amari Cooper had 4 catches on 12 targets in this game. So one double two, I would assume is what was going on.
Yes, it was.
So you watch the run game, the collisions in this game, the ways that they were taking on blocks and pullers, every single guy. Bentley, they had a play where the Browns were in a split back, and they had Bryant coming all the way across the formation as a lead blocker. And the way Bentley took on that block in the hole, the collision was just insane. And Judon was also taking on Teller coming across from the other way. And I can't remember who ended up making the tackle. Barmore had some really nice moments. Duggar's interception. Duggar blew up Kareem Hunt on a blitz, like absolutely exploded him in the hole. Like way, the physicality that they played with on defense today against the Browns team that usually beats the shit out of people was really enjoyable to watch.
Duggar had another one. The Duggernaut had another one where he blew up. It was like an 8-yard gain. So like, it wasn't like if it could be a highlight. I'm not going to tweet it because then you'll get some like sour Cleveland fan going, it's an 8-yard gain. Is he blew up a blocker and tackled Kareem Hunt from the side. And it was like, oh my God. But like you could tell Hunt was like, what was that? And that was on like a run play. He thought he was about to break it for a long run. But no, this is, it could be a multitude of things. This Patriots defense, Belichick always scouts to size. Like his linebackers are always thumpers. His D line's always big. This is like the fastest this Patriots defense has felt in a while. Like I don't know, they feel like they have a little more speed to them. And I don't know. I want to really study it and see maybe why. But even up front, they're never going to go for bendy guys. Like that's just not it. But these guys have a lot more. Rather than just with pocket pushing, when they do get these edginess, they're able to burst to the quarterback. Like, I don't know. The linebackers have a little bit more movement to them. The DBs have always been kind of like the samey. But I don't know. This team feels fast. And maybe it was just because they're going against this Browns team. They had kind of them on their toe or on their heels. But I don't know. Every week I've watched this defense, kind of just seeing the same thing. They're really playing really, really fast. And Duggar's kind of the epitome of that because he is that general Swiss Army knife that Belichick loves. He always loves having one of these in his DB room. But this guy is like a monster. He's 225, runs a 4.4, and just wipes out tight ends.
One of the best athletes to come into the draft in like the last 10 years, if you look at like his testing numbers and how big he is.
And now they've, I mean, he's playing so smart and they unlock. He is the tight end eraser. Like that. Njoku had a great catch on him up the sideline. But that's why when they do that one double stuff, if you have a good tight end, they could just put 23 on him, Duggar, and he'll wipe him out for the entire game. Like he is. And then, like you said, he'll blitz, he'll blow up run plays. He's playing really good. Dietrich Weiss is playing well. Like week 1 against the Dolphins, he had a good game. And like, he's kind of just, this last game, I mean, he's kind of just doing some stuff. Like it's a good, really fun defense. They play physical and they have some dudes. And another shout out to one of their DBs is Brendan Schooler, this rookie special teamer that like is going to be with the Patriots for the next 12 years. Like him and Slater are just like knocking dudes out on punt. And it's awesome. He recovered the fumble and he tried to give it to Belichick like a cat with a dead bird. Like he was like, "Hey, look what I got for you." And Belichick's like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?" Yeah, another little highlight for the Patriots today. But it's a fun team. It's a lot more fun than I thought even a couple of weeks ago.
Some of Kyle Duggar's best physical comparisons, if you look at it from the draft.
Yeah.
Number 1 is Terrell Edmonds, first round pick. Number 2 is Eric Berry, top 5 pick.
Oh,
Derwin James is also in there, top
freak.
First round pick. I mean, that's the type of athlete that he is. His interception today, he's playing super low and it's play action, and he gets all the way back under Njoku to make the play. It's just a really, really impressive combination of awareness, physical skills, everything. He's playing really well. We talked about him coming into the season. He was one of your breakout players for this year, and he is currently breaking out for a defense that's playing much better than I expected them to based on their personnel corner. And Jonathan Jones didn't even play today.
Right.
And they still were able to do this on the back end. So as every single time I want to throw dirt on Bill Belichick, he has a 2-game run where he's pulling out defensive game plans like this and just erasing teams. And I guarantee you that people look back on it 5 weeks from now and be like, what was the Lions and the Browns, right? Like it was Jared Goff and Jacoby Brissett. These have been top 10, top 5 offenses by efficiency before they ran into the Patriots and these very hyper-specific game plans. That's what this team can do. They can look at what you do and be like, okay, like we're just going to run one double on Amari Cooper at the entire game, which look at the other Browns receiving options. Doesn't that make sense? It's like, we are not going to let number 2 catch the ball if you're going to throw it all. We're going to play our fronts such that you're going to have a hard time running the ball against us. And then we are going to double your best receiver every single play and see if you can beat us that way. And the answer was they couldn't do it.
Right. And it's not only, like I say, they feel like they have more speed, but it's you can have as much speed as you want. If they're not communicating well, they don't know what they're seeing, then they look like crap. There's so many good units over the years, or talented units that don't play fast and they're running into each other, all this. And you watch this defense communicate. There's snaps where they're running like a robber down, normal man, but with a robber coming down. And the Browns are running a typical high-low concept. You have an under route, 5 yards and in, and a bender behind it. And the low safety, the robber safety, is the one that comes down on the under route. He took away the high route and then the low route because he understood that the middle defender, the slot defender, had outside leverage. just like he understood the leverage points. And he goes, oh, this is a concept the Browns run a ton. Okay. He recognized that. That comes to the coaching again, but also just players playing fast. You see the linebackers. The Browns love to, when they go into heavy personnel or they use a back in the tight end protection, when they release it, they love to cross them. That's a thing that some teams will do. Some teams will just wide them out. You run both outs. They'll have guys sit. They like to cross them to force communication errors. Watch the Patriots defense. If anyone watches this replay of this game, watch their intermediate defenders communicate those pass offs. It's so cool. They're you. They're point. It's like watching a good 2-3 zone in basketball, and they're just passing this stuff off. It's really cool. It's a really fun defense to watch. That even a couple of weeks ago, I was optimistic about it, but not. I didn't think. I mean, they're like dominating right now. It's cool. And then you got Bailey Zappi.
And we'll see what happens. I mean, Mac Jones can do a lot of the same things that Bailey Zappi can do. I mean, their offensive line is good. Interesting kind of situation at right tackle today where Marcus Cannon came in for a little bit, something to monitor. But I mean, they have a decent amount of players up there. And if their quarterback can be solid and they can play defense like this, they're going to be in a lot of games.
Yes.
All right. Last one here. The New York Jets. You have my attention. Goodness gracious.
Wow.
That came in and kind of dismantled the Packers offense. The Packers offense was barely functional for good chunks of this game. Aaron Rodgers had to make a couple hero throws, including that one up the left sideline to Allen Lazard. Other than that, they could get nothing going consistently on that side of the ball today. And then the Jets run game in the second half doing just enough interesting stuff to put that thing away. And that combination of that defense playing like that with the way that they can run the ball and the talent that they have and the creativity in that area of their offense, I mean, they can give a lot of teams some problems if they're going to play like this.
Well, it was funny. At first the Jets were bringing some pressures and they brought a couple blitzes, and then they realized, oh, we don't have to.
We don't have to do that.
We don't have to do this at all. I mean, they ran a ton of games. Oh my God. It was just picks and twists and just every combination. And when you have a dude like Quinnen Williams dominoing guys and knocking offensive linemen into each other, opens up a lot for other teammates. But then you got Carl Lawson, who's been playing extremely well, coming back from injury. At linebacker, Quincy Williams, who was
the linebackers were super impressive today. Like their identification of stuff. The game planning they did during this game. Yeah. I don't know if Mike was in some meetings. I'm truly wondering what the preparation was because they snuffed out shit immediately for 4 quarters on the second level of their defense. It was really impressive.
This Packers offense is living side to side. We'll get to them in a sec.
Yes.
But they're very side to side, side to side, side to side. This is where team speed comes into effect. And that's the thing is, again, you can have as much team speed as you want. If they don't know where they're pointing and shooting, it doesn't matter. And that's the thing is you'll see a flat route that a bad defense, that would be an 18-yard gain, 12-yard gain, going for a TFL, going for a 0 gain because they're running out and understanding where they're about to get attacked and understanding what the Packers were trying to do. It was awesome. And then on top of it, they have a sneak peek to my 30s awards. That's what I'm calling it, the 30s with the D. 30s awards that's coming out this week for the first third. My defensive rookie of the year, Sauce Gardner, is a star. There's no questions about it. If you had any hesitancy about this guy, he's incredible. Not just his fluidness and how tall and long he is. His awareness is so good. We talked about him a few weeks ago, but he is just a complete player already so early in his career. So now they have these guys playing fast at every level. And by the end of the game, True Media said they only blitzed 4 times, which I thought was pretty crazy because at first they were blitzing. Those must all came in the first quarter because by the end of the game they weren't. And it's because they have these dudes winning up front and they're just over and over and over. They just keep coming at you.
Last 3 weeks, they're blitzing 9% of the time, and they're 6th in the NFL in pressure rate over the last 3 weeks. That's what they're doing with that front 4. And what they were doing today, and the Packers just had no answer. They're running a little overload front with 3 guys on one side. So they head up over the center and then head up over the guard, over the tackle. Linebacker walk down over the other guard, and then an end lined up a little bit wider. So kind of like a 5-0 look, and they were consistently dropping the linebacker out of there. But they were running games with the 3-man side that the Packers just had absolutely no shot at picking up. And the amount of heat coming at you in those games with the way that Quinnen Williams is playing right now, that's why it's a problem. And when you combine that with the way they're playing on the back end, they play more man than teams from this tree theoretically would. Like if you're thinking about the Niners,
Yep.
the Browns, like the coaches from this general family, the Jets are willing to play man coverage on like 50% of their third down snaps. And that's partially because of what Sauce can give them. And the other guy, the other guy I've been unbelievably impressed by this year is DJ Reed. Like DJ Reed is playing excellent football. And now when you think about everything they spent coming into this offseason, draft picks, free agent capital, how they've built up these individual units when you talk about the defensive line, how they rework the entire secondary. Over the first couple weeks, I was like, when is this going to come together?
Right.
Like, when are we going to see this? And over the last couple weeks, you are starting to see it come together. Like, this is the vision. This is the plan. This is what they were supposed to be on defense after they built it over the last couple of years and Robert Saleh came in as the head coach of this team. This is what the final product is supposed to look like. And that would be the most encouraging part to me as a Jets fan. We're like, all right, that was the plan. This is the execution. And this looks beautiful in practice.
It's fun. They do have, I mean, you could see the real roots all the way to that Legion of Boom defenses in Seattle as far as up front in all those games. And the overload front's one of them, because they all pin their ears back. The other ones that do this is the 49ers defense. Everyone has their ears pinned back, and they just go. And for a quarterback that's trying to find who his number one option is in the passing game, and Aaron Rodgers, is now he has to hunt a little bit in the pocket. When you're creating all these games and the quarterback is not bailing out outside, like, Josh Allen or Mahomes, that's suicide to do that, to let him get to the outside, break contain outside. Rodgers isn't really doing that right now. He's like choosing just not to. And so he's trying to operate from the pocket. But when you create all this, what I call edginess in the pocket with all these games, someone is winning at different points. So it's not like I go, okay, well, my right guard keeps getting beat, so I know just to bail left. Well, my right guard's getting picked off there, but my left guard is too. So should I bail out? Oh, shoot. Carl Lawson just won on the outside. Okay, now I'm going to move a little bit to the left. Oh, shoot. Here comes Quinnen Williams looping all the way around into a fool's gold part of the pocket. And that's what this defense is doing. And so that's how you create pressure without blitzing and even pressures that don't even get home. You're just creating almost like a QB hit because you're just making him move off the launch point. Anytime the quarterback gets moved off the launch point, the success rate drops down. That's why I want to bring up
affecting the play. Like, that's what's happening. You're affecting every single play when you're playing like this.
That's why we're freaking out about Mahomes and Allen, because that stuff doesn't really apply to them. But like right now, it's applying to Rodgers and the Jets. If you're playing a quarterback and they can do that to Rodgers, there's a lot of other quarterbacks they can do this to, and it's really, really cool to watch it in action because it's just some good players playing really, really fast and really aggressive. DJ Reed's a great example too. Their DBs are all willing tacklers. Sauce knocked out Teddy Bridgewater last week. He is a willing and able tackler. So this whole defense.
This is what I thought they'd play like.
Yeah.
This is what they were supposed to play like. When Saleh came over and he has this aura about him and it's all of this culture stuff and we're going to play this way. And you watch how the Niners,
aggression.
Yes. And when you watch the Niners play over the last couple of years before, and he was the defensive coordinator there, I was like, this is what I wanted. Yeah. The way they're playing now is what I thought they might play like when it all came together. And that's why I just was like, what is happening? Even over the first couple games of this year, they were the worst defense in the league. And now, I mean, a couple guys banged up, but still not playing the way you would think. And then now what they've been like over the last few weeks, like, this is what I expected. The Packers have their problems on offense.
Yeah.
But I think what you said about the corners being willing tacklers, it's exactly what I'm getting at, is that there is a mindset 1 to 11 that they are playing with right now. And even the guys that are rotating in on the defensive line, like Vinny Curry just got called up this week. He had a TFL on a miscommunication, but still, like, a lot of guys are getting into this. Sheldon Rankins made a bunch of plays today. Yes. And I think that is what's worth pointing out, is that it's an entire unit playing this way. And when you think about teams like the Niners or think about teams like the Cowboys, the really good defenses in the NFL, that's what it feels like. And now the Jets are starting to feel like they're on their way to being one of those groups, because they have the pieces now, because of how much they've spent to get here and how many resources they've had to unleash. But now they have the mindset all the way across that unit. That's what's impressive. Right. And then you combine that with the shit they're doing in the run game is unbelievably cool. Like that huge Breece Hall run where he's running. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a fake reverse that he pulls back. It's like a trap play. Like that was one of the coolest plays of the week. Yes.
Hewitt Rowe got it. So it was awesome, but it's because he's freaking awesome. Breece Hall is really good. Michael Carter's really good too. Yeah, no, that was awesome. It was at first, because how they pulled everyone, I thought it was a under center GT counter. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I saw Garrett Wilson running a reverse. It's like, you don't run GT counter with a fake reverse action. That's not something you tie together. Then I realized it was just Breece Hall being a baller and realizing that, oh shoot, I can't get back here because the defensive line's so far upfield. Yeah, he just took it and went for it. But that's not to take away from the other runs that they do. They are a good, efficient run game. They do a little bit of everything, and Mike LaFleur gets into his bag. As soon as they get inside the 30-yard line, he'll call everything.
The Patriots touchdown that they scored today. I mean, it's all on the table. That area is where they'll just start to unleash that stuff in the high red zone, like just outside fringe red zone plays. Yeah. They love those, and they've got 20 different things that they can go to. So the New York Jets, you have my attention. All right, we're going to take one more quick break here, and then we're going to talk about the team that the Jets beat up today. Are you or someone you know suffering from moderate to extensive hair loss? The good news is there is an answer. Almost 42% of men experience moderate to extensive hair loss in their lifetime, but there are options available to help stop balding in its tracks. The sooner a person starts treatment for hair loss, the easier it is to keep the hair they have. Roman offers clinically proven medication to help treat hair loss, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. Romer offers prescription medication and over-the-counter treatments. They also offer specially formulated shampoos and conditioners with ingredients that fortify and moisturize hair to work full. Research shows that about 80% of men who use prescription hair loss treatment had no further hair loss after 2 years. Research also shows that men who use hair loss treatments feel better about their overall appearance. Getting started is simple. Complete a free online visit, and then a U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment. If medication is appropriate, Roman ships it directly to you in discreet packaging with free 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward and discreet. Treatment starts at $20 per month on a quarterly plan. Right now, Roman has a special offer for our listeners. Use this link to get 20% off your first order. Just go to GetRoman.com/maze today. That's GetRoman.com/MAYS for 20%. Imagine having an extra day every week, more time to cook healthy meals, work on that novel, or just binge some really good reality TV. I would love some more time to read, just a little bit more personal time during the season. Now, it's all possible with ClickUp, the productivity platform that'll save you 1 day a week on work, guaranteed. ClickUp began with the premise that productivity was broken. There were too many tools to keep track of, too many things, entirely separate ecosystems. There had to be a more productive way. ClickUp is the one tool to house all your tasks, projects, goals, spreadsheets, and more. It's packed with features and customization options. Whether you're in project management, engineering, sales, marketing, or HR, it is the easy solution to create a more efficient work environment. Use code MAZE to get 15% off ClickUp's massive unlimited plan for a year, meaning you can start reclaiming your time for under $5 a month. Sign up today at clickup.com and use code MAZE. Hurry, this offer ends soon. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and trying out the service, it all makes sense. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those savings directly to you. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate, whether you're buying for one or for a family. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with your existing contacts. To get a new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/maze. That's mintmobile.com/MAYS. Cut your wireless plan to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/maze.
We're still cool, man. We're still cool. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
All right, I want to start with the Packers here, but I want to take this a little bit wider than that. The supposedly elite teams in the NFC. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. So coming into today, outside of the Eagles, the three teams that had the best odds to win the NFC were the Bucs, the Packers, and the 49ers. All three of those teams lost today, and all three of those teams are 3-3. Are there any good teams in the NFC outside of the Eagles right now?
No. I mean, I'm going to keep a couple Bucks shares, stocks, but really it feels every week it goes by and I'm yelling at this offense. I could just keep yelling to clouds and say they'll get healthier, and they just keep putting up performances like they did today. I don't know. I think the Eagles are in a class of their own easily right now in the NFC.
The Vikings are 4-1, but the Vikings offense didn't play great today against the Dolphins defense that didn't have any of their defensive backs. Like Skylar Thompson was playing for a chunk of this game, that he got hurt, that Teddy Bridgewater came back in. Yeah. It's not like they ran away with that game. I know the Giants are 4-1. God bless them, but I'm not sure what the long-term outlook is on something like this. So I don't know. I just don't know what you can count on with that second tier. 5-1, excuse me. The Giants are 5-1. I'm sorry. Thank you, Beller. I'm even disrespecting the Giants here as I trot out their record. But I'm watching the Packers in this game. That is the team of Bucks, Packers, Niners I think I'm most concerned about right now. Because the Bucks, I don't know. Well, that's a good question. Are you more concerned about the Bucks or the Packers right now?
Packers.
Okay.
Yes, more concerned about the Packers. The Bucks offense is, they got to figure out what their chemistry, or their kind of not chemistry, but I guess their chemistry is on offense. Like, and not in the sense of like the players coming together and like having a kumbaya, but more in the sense of like how they're splitting their runs and passes. Because I'll just drop this stat real quick. Well, the fact that the Bucks got a Tom Brady QB sneak stopped today is like, this shows you what type of day that they had.
Yes.
And by the way, the Patriots defense stopped Jacoby Brissett on a 4th and 1 QB sneak. We had like the two most automatic, those two, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. Those are like the automatic QB sneak guys. 2 of them got stopped today, which that's weird. But they had 21 rushes on 1st and 2nd down today. The Bucs did. Only 5 went for 5 or more yards. They had 8 total successful runs on those 21. 5 of those came in the first quarter. So that means they only had 3 for the rest of the game that were considered successful. And yet they ran the ball over and over and over. And it just, what's the strength of this Bucs team is Tom Brady sitting back there and knifing it up to Godwin, a couple deep balls to Evans. Like, that's kind of where this offense lives in. And it just always just feels like that it's not like that. They just don't have a lot of like sustainability, it seems like. And they just keep getting these tight games where they can't blow any doors open. If you want to be a truly great team, we want to see those kind of, impress the voters. They used to say with the AP top 10, like, impress the BCS voters, impress those guys. Like, that's what I want to see a little with the Bucs team. And then they just keep having performances like this. Yes, the Steelers got a little lucky on their offense, went 4 for 4 on 3rd and 11 plus in the second half. The league average is 15% on 3rd and 11 plus, and they went 4 for 4 in the second half. That's not going to always happen against you, but really my Bucs concerns is with their offense. And I do have faith that they'll figure it out, but it's like another week just passes by where they have another performance where they're stubbing their toe. So
there are 2 things I'm worried about with the Bucs. One is the interior of the offensive line, right? Like the group we knew that wasn't going to get healthier. The tackles were going to come back.
Yep.
Donovan Smith was going to come back eventually. Justin's out for the year. That was never going to get better, and that was a problem again today. What Cam Hayward did to Luka Decky on some of those plays is horrifying. And their inability to run the ball. They're dead last in EPA per rush. And they are dead set on running the ball on early downs, even though they're the worst rushing offense in the league. And even on some 3rd downs today, that 3rd and 1 that got blown up, what happened to Cade Otton on that play is just the way their tight ends have blocked even hasn't been very good. They are not a good team that can just line up and run the ball against you. And that's what they've been over the last couple of years. I understand that you don't want 45-year-old Tom Brady throwing the ball 60 times a game for multiple different reasons. But what they're doing on early downs, running the ball, and their inability to run the ball is holding them back. The Packers side of this, what happened to their offensive line today? Even if you're worried about their receiving talent, and that's another reason that I'm a little bit bullish on the Bucs eventually figuring this out, is that the guys catching the ball are good enough where they'll get there.
Godwin looks amazing again.
They have that. They have those guys. The Packers don't have that sort of pass catching talent. We knew that coming in, but I still thought the line would be fine. Like, I thought, all right, they'll figure it out up front. Their line has been so good over the last couple of years. Even with Bakhtiari out, they figured it out. They will get a solution there. And you watch the way they played today. I just can't believe that's their best 5 with the way at the spots they're currently lined up in. Because you watch what's happening at right guard with Royce Newman, and he got subbed out a little bit today. I can't remember who else played, but their right guard situation has been a problem. And then Jenkins is playing right tackle, and he's not playing that well at right tackle. So isn't there a world where you take your all-pro guard and put him back at guard to make that position stronger and see what Nijman can give you at right tackle? Like, it just feels like there is a better 5 group of offensive linemen for the Green Bay Packers than the one that they're using right now. I can understand not wanting to put Nijman there if you don't feel like he's comfortable on the right side.
Yeah.
But it does still feel like this is not the best solution for them.
Feels like kind of a waste to have a left tackle only backup. Like, and he's a good player. Like, I mean, he's a legit starter at tackle. Like, I know he's only played left side, but I mean, I get exactly what you mean, because how that performance was today, like Rodgers isn't really pulling the trigger as quick as he has in the past. And I get it.
He's
like,
not playing well. That's also part of this.
The performative deep balls, like you can almost put it should be the safest bet. Like, after the other team has a long drive of like 10 plays or more, or 60 yards or more, like you can put either one. That first throw from Aaron Rodgers is going to be a bomb. It's like automatic. He did it again today. And it's so much as side to side. So like the Bucs offense, because it's a very old school type of offense, it's Arians. So it's at you runs and vertical passing. So they do some screens and stuff, but there's not a lot of side to side quick hitting passing game. There's not a lot of quick game, because they say we undertack underneath with short yards, or running the ball or throwing quick little screens on the outside. That's how we get you underneath, and then we attack you vertically. The Packers offense is all horizontal. It's running the ball or throwing short. There's nothing to make you stretch vertically. Yes, they have vertical elements on their passing concepts, but how many times you see them completed? Like, yes, there's a beautiful, 1% ball, to Lazard on the left sideline, but there's not a ton, and the touchdown, I guess, later, but there's not a ton of that in the kind of scheme of the offense by design and by choice with Rodgers. And Rodgers also had quotes today after the game saying that they made simple mistakes on complex offense. And he's saying that we're too complex. We have too much motions and shifts going on right now, which if you rewatch this game, it's like, wow, your mistakes, bud, aren't coming up with motions and shifts. Like, there's not like you guys are just getting in it empty sometimes, and you're not getting rid of the ball. So
I'm getting kind of worried about the dynamic going on over there. Like, he looks like late McCarthy. I'm kind of checked out.
Exactly what I said to somebody.
Rodgers right now.
Yes.
And that's a concern.
He's not pushing the ball. He's just like, I'm good. I'm not trying that throw. I don't trust insert receiver name here. Like, he had, they had 9 snaps empty today. What motions and complex, why is that complex? You've done that your whole life being an empty. They did have 6 drops, which doesn't help. I was actually going to write about this week was I love their shotgun run game, because they were the only team that is majority shotgun runs that doesn't have a running quarterback. Like, they've made a living in the shotgun jet sweep run game world, and it works for them, but then they don't do anything off of it. And it's weird. It's all these flats and checks and bubbles and RPOs, but it's the package play RPOs that Rodgers lived in with McCarthy. And now he's like, we saw this too with LaFleur, but it was the threes and layups. It's a layup only offense. And I think that's the best way to look at it right now. It's really frustrating to watch.
Niners, I think my biggest concern with them is, obviously the quarterback is going to do some wild stuff every single week, and you're just going to have to live with that. But the injuries are the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
They come into this game, no Jimmy Ward, no Trent Williams, no Eric Armstead, no Nick Bosa. And then Travarius Ward gets hurt in this game. Michael Lynch gets dinged up in this game. You'd have to hope that when they get healthy, we can see the best version of them, that they're going to be relevant in the NFC picture. But I don't know when they're going to get healthy or if that's going to happen. So that's been a consistent concern for them, and it continues to be. The other 2 teams, worth mentioning. I do think the Cowboys with Dak and the way that they play defense, they're going to be an annoyance in the NFC. And I think that if we have consternation about these teams that we think are at the top, I think the Cowboys are as good or better than any of these 3 teams right now.
I feel better about the Cowboys right now. If Dak plays like how we know Dak can play, then these 3 teams that we just talked about, I really do. It's
the Vikings.
Bizarre.
The Vikings, I'm still not sure. The Vikings, like their inconsistency on offense, still really concerns me. So we'll see what happens with Minnesota. But I do think I feel better about Dallas than maybe any of these 3 teams right now, which is not, and the Niners mostly because of injury, and that's just not something I thought I was going to say.
No, I know. I said about the Vikings. I said the good news is they keep winning and they haven't had a complete game yet. the bad news is they haven't had a complete game yet. It just keeps working out for them. So might get ugly if they don't fix some things. Yeah, I like what the Vikings do. Their record doesn't indicate how they're truly playing, but they keep winning. And I do like some of the things they do. I have no idea what to make of their defense. Every series
same.
One series they look brilliant. I'm like, oh my God. And one series I'm like, you guys can't guard anybody. And there's nobody within 10 yards of the receiver. So I have no idea what to make for them. But I love that you brought up the Cowboys too, because it's weird how okay I feel about them. Like
I did not anticipate being here. I really didn't.
Me either. And I'm not even going to mention the Rams. They're not even like the
Rams are just not good. That's we don't have to talk about the Rams in this conversation. The Rams are not a good team, and it makes sense when you think about how devastated their offensive line is and all of the issues that they're dealing with there, and the fact that they have no juice at the receiving positions. The Rams just aren't very good right now, and that's fine. We don't have to talk about them in the same class as the rest of these teams. Exactly. All right, we're going to talk about a couple guys that we noticed today, and then we're going to get out of here.
Can you see me now? Can you see me now?
All right. I want to talk about Jamar Chase just very quickly. We're going to talk about this game on the Monday Hangover tomorrow. We're talking about Bengals and Saints, but this is a reminder that Jamar Chase can just do this every once in a while. He just has this is always going to come, right? Like he was going to be able to have one of these games. This offense was struggling a little bit, but there's always this possibility that he was just going to explode in one of these games and have two mind-boggling plays. And that's what happened today, where he just turns a play into a touchdown. And just one of those guys that, he's really, really talented, and eventually they're going to figure some aspects of this out.
No one hates playing Jamar Chase more than Tyrann Mathieu. Like he refuses to try to tackle him even. He's just like, I missed, sorry. And then there goes Chase going up. That's why he's not in Kansas City anymore. But they have been force feeding him targets, which I always approve of to a talented player like that. He was due to pop. And it's one of those where he literally popped, where he gets the ball and he's gone. He just bounces off guys and he's gone. The Bengals had some tweaks today. I'm actually very interested to watch this game against the Saints for the Bengals offense in general, because they're peppering underneath routes. Like Burrow completed so many balls between the hashes and numbers. Remember we were saying, hey, middle, high, low.
Yeah.
I'm curious if they leaned into that today. Saw some RPOs from this offense. So I'm glad that Jamar Chase was able to get a couple of these. That wasn't the usual go ball flare last year where he was just dunking on guys or contorting his body. It was more in the flow of the offense. And like you said, it's cool to see a talented player pop off again, because it's like, oh yeah, you can throw one guy way off of you and then burst past everybody else. And it's like, don't you have the angle? Oh, there goes the angle. And then there goes Jamar Chase for a touchdown. But yeah, we see you, Jamar Chase.
We will dig into that game tomorrow on the Hangover. Before we get out of here, though, I wanted to share any last words. We're going to talk about just what it was like to watch Allen and Mahomes today, because I tweeted this out in the second half, and the idea that we could get another decade of this. Mahomes is 27, Allen's 26, and we're in this world now where Rodgers is on the way out, potentially Brady's on the way out, Breeze is retired, Peyton Manning is gone. And there was always this question about what the next group of quarterbacks was going to look like. And Lamar obviously has been great and won an MVP. Patrick Mahomes won an MVP his first season as a starter. And there is this group of guys, but watching Allen and Mahomes and what this rivalry can potentially be for the next 8 to 10 years. These guys are under contract from now until whenever. And the best thing about Colts Patriots is that it was always a little bit different. There were always different characters that were kind of rising and falling, and there were different versions of these teams. And that's kind of what it feels like now. Like now Von Miller is a part of this.
Right.
And now you have these kind of young players on the Chiefs defense and what that's going to look like. And just this storyline of the Bills eventually needing to beat the Chiefs to get there. And that feeling of this big brother that's had your number and what it means to finally knock them off and get all the way to the top. Who knows if it's going to happen? Like they were so close last year, and I being in that building and what it must have felt like to have that 13 seconds go by and know you were so close and know that you could be the best team in the league and you didn't win a Super Bowl. Right now, the Chiefs are number one in offensive and defensive. The Bills are number one in offensive and defensive DVOA. Like they're back. They are as good as they were last year. This is as good of a chance. And now they go in, they beat Kansas City in Arrowhead in the regular season. They've beaten them in the regular season before. Now what's going to happen when we get to the playoffs and when these teams probably meet again? And the fact that that storyline and that rivalry and this pairing of quarterbacks, we get to watch this for the next 8 to 10 years. And these guys playing like this is what makes football fun. This is what makes watching the NFL compelling. You can do this forever, and you still get to watch these two play against each other and feel the way that it felt today. That never gets old. And I cannot wait to see what chapter 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 look like between these two guys, because I do think right now they are on a level that's all their own.
You'll always buy tickets to see Godzilla versus King Kong. That's what it is. You'll always buy tickets to watch them. And I love the point because those two are just, they're so exceptional. For the 40th time this pod, for the 40th time, you'll hear me say it every day. It's so awesome to watch these guys break rules, but also do all the normal stuff exceptionally well. It's not like they're always ad-libbing and just like, oh, well, that won't sustain. No, they can do sustainable stuff and the stuff that shouldn't be sustainable. But I love the point you brought about the rotating cast of characters. That's what makes two teams that are good for a while or have these main featured acts for a while. It's cool to look back and go, oh, that was that game. Oh, yeah. that was when Belichick went for it on 4th down. You remember these you remember these little plays. Oh, that's when they changed the illegal contact rules because the Patriots kicked their ass, in the AFC Championship game. You remember these random games, and that gives you, he was on their team. Brian Cox played for him. You remember these random players that they played on these teams. Oh, that was when Bob Sanders was peaking.
It's the story of the sport.
Yeah.
And those rivalries tell the story of the sport. And that's where we are right now, is that I think that these teams and these quarterbacks playing against each other is going to potentially tell the story of the sport for the next 10 or so years. And that's awesome. And knowing that you're watching that in real time is incredibly exciting. And that's what it felt like to watch that game today. And I can't wait to see the next time these two teams play against each other.
We're the winners.
That's exactly right. We certainly are the winners. And I cannot wait to talk to you guys again very soon. We will be back tomorrow with the Monday Hangover, me and Mike Sando doing the Hangover this week. So please come back and check us out. We're going to be doing it a little bit later in the afternoon. There we go. I can't remember. I think it's 5:30 Eastern, right, Beller? 5:30 Eastern tomorrow. We have the Monday Hangover. So please come back and check that out. Very much looking forward to that. In the meantime, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can click on that in the audio version of the podcast below, or if you're watching right now, you can just subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to The Athletic, theathletic.com/football show. And also, please subscribe to the podcast and leave us a rating or a review if you have not. So really appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back tomorrow with Sando. Until then, talk to you guys soon.